You don't remember deciding to check your phone. You just find yourself holding it, screen lit, thumb moving, mind slightly elsewhere. And the unsettling part is this: it feels voluntary. But what if the urge began before the thought? Pause there, because most people don't notice the moment before the reach. The microsecond where attention shifts, where discomfort appears, where silence feels just a little too empty. That is where the pattern lives. You tell yourself it's about information, or connection, or efficiency. But the behavior follows a rhythm. Wake up, reach, scroll, pause, refresh. It doesn't feel programmed, it feels normal, and that distinction matters. Habits don't begin as addictions, they begin as solutions. A solution to boredom, to uncertainty, to social anxiety, to the small gaps between tasks. Over time, the solution becomes the default, and default becomes identity. But look closer. The device in your hand is not passive. It is an environment, designed not only to respond to your attention, but to anticipate it. Notifications are not random. They arrive in patterns. Bright colors are not accidental. They interrupt peripheral vision. Infinite scrolling removes natural stopping cues. That detail is important. In the physical world, most activities have edges. A book has pages. A conversation has pauses. A store has closing hours. But here, there is no edge, only continuation. And when something has no clear ending, the brain struggles to disengage. This is not force, it is friction, or the absence of it. Every tap requires less resistance than sitting with a wandering thought, so the brain learns. Quick stimulation over slow reflection, immediate novelty over sustained focus, and repetition does the rest. You may believe you are choosing content, but algorithms quietly study patterns you do not see. What time you open the app, what you pause on, what you scroll past quickly. They do not need to understand you fully. They only need to predict you accurately. And over time, prediction becomes influence. Not because someone commands your attention, but because the system adapts faster than you do. It adjusts to your impulses, then subtly shapes them. But that's only one layer. Before algorithms, there were earlier patterns. Family dinners interrupted by television, parents checking emails at night, work praised for speed, not depth. We inherit rhythms long before we question them. The normalization of distraction did not start with smartphones. It started with productivity as identity. Education trained us to respond to bells. 45 minutes, shift, repeat. Attention segmented, task-oriented, externally directed. The phone simply condensed that structure into your pocket. A portable bell, a constant possibility of interruption. And interruption became expected. Silence became uncomfortable. Notice what happens when you stand in the line without your phone. There's a subtle agitation, a reaching without reaching. The mind scanning for stimulus. That sensation is revealing, because the habit is not only behavioral, it is neurological. Dopamine does not reward pleasure. It rewards anticipation, the possibility of something new. Every refresh holds uncertainty, a message, a like, a headline, a surprise. The brain begins to associate the device with potential reward, and potential is enough. Over time, attention becomes externally tethered, not because you lack discipline, but because the environment is structured around interruption. Workplaces expect immediate replies. Social groups measure responsiveness. Economic systems reward engagement. Your attention is not just personal. It has value, and value attracts optimization. So systems compete for it, quietly, continuously. But here is the quieter question. What disappears in the process? Deep thought requires boredom. Creativity requires unstructured time. Self-awareness requires stillness. When every idle moment is filled, reflection thins out, and without reflection, habits harden. You begin to confuse stimulation with connection, information with understanding, activity with progress. And it doesn't feel imposed. It feels like life moving faster. That illusion is subtle, because you can always choose to put the phone down, in theory. But habits are not broken by theory. They are sustained by cues. Location, emotion, time of day. Morning light hits the room. Hand reaches automatically. A moment of stress appears. Screen lights up. Loneliness surfaces. Notifications become comfort. The pattern is less about the device and more about what it replaces. This is rarely discussed. We talk about screen time, productivity hacks, digital detoxes, but not about the discomfort underneath. The anxiety of missing out, the fear of irrelevance, the need for validation, the avoidance of silence. Remove the phone without addressing those layers, and the mind searches for a substitute, because the habit was solving something, even imperfectly. Breaking free, then, is not rebellion against technology. It is investigation. When do you reach? What emotion precedes it? What thought are you interrupting? That awareness creates space, and space weakens automation. Small friction changes patterns. Notifications off, phone out of reach during sleep, moments intentionally unfilled. Not as punishment, as experiment. The goal is not absence, it is choice. To notice the impulse before the action, to sit through the discomfort for a few seconds longer, to reintroduce edges where there were none. But the deeper shift is cultural. When constant availability becomes expected, opting out feels antisocial. When speed is rewarded, slowness feels inefficient. So autonomy requires subtle resistance, not dramatic exits, quiet boundaries. And perhaps the most revealing question is this: if your phone stopped working for a week, what parts of your life would feel empty, and what parts might feel clearer? There is no single villain here, only systems aligned toward engagement, and minds wired for novelty. The intersection is powerful, but not irreversible. The habit was installed gradually. It can be examined gradually. So, before you check your phone again, pause, not to judge the behavior, just to notice it. Was it boredom? Stress? Curiosity? Loneliness? That awareness is the beginning of separation, and separation restores agency. The device will still be there, the world will still move, but the question shifts from "why can't I stop?" to "what am I responding to?" And that is a different kind of power. So consider your own patterns. When does the reach happen? What silence are you avoiding? What thought keeps getting interrupted? Share what you notice. Not as confession, as observation. Because once patterns are seen, they rarely feel invisible again. And perhaps the most important habit is the one that asks why before it acts.